Oh my goodness, did you guys see that snatch block from Bronny James? I don't know what it was about that, but that was one of the cleanest blocks I've ever seen. I had to talk about that at the beginning of this video because it was too good not to talk about, and we'll talk more about it a little later. Before we get into anything else, I want to make this clear that I owe Bronny James an apology. I do. The past few weeks, he hasn't been, how do I say this? Not necessarily playing bad, but he hasn't been living up to or playing up to the expectations that everyone has put on him. Everyone has their own expectations for him, and I'm not saying I've expected him to go out there and drop 25 points every game, but I don't think he's being aggressive, and that's what I knock on his game. He'll have a couple solid games here and there where he drops 12 to 14 points, but besides that, he's been a non-factor. And if you look at the stat sheet, I try not to pay attention to it too much, but it does give you a perspective, and we've all heard the phrase that numbers never lie. And for the most part, I do somewhat agree with that, because if a player looks good in the game, his stats are going to reflect that, and he's going to have good numbers. And if he looks bad in the game, his stats are also going to reflect that, and he'll have bad numbers. There are a few players that are an exception to the numbers never lie theory, and I think Bronny is one of those guys. The reason I've been critical on him, and I don't have to go over everything because you've seen the videos, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm about to say. He hasn't been aggressive, he doesn't score that many points, and it doesn't seem like he contributes that much to the overall game. We live in a day and age where nobody cares about defense. If you're not scoring 20 points, nobody really pays attention. Bronny is looked at for some people a 5-star, and then I've seen other places have him as a 4-star, but for the sake of this video, we'll say he's a 4-star. Therefore, with him having this high ranking, everyone wants to see him go out there and prove it and show he's as good as that ranking or better. I will stand by this. I think so far he is underachieving, but it's not as bad as I think I've made it out to seem. I've recently jumped off the Bronny hype train. A lot of people forget that I was on it at first, but he just wasn't performing well, so I had to back off. The whole time I continue to make these videos and I think about it, it's hard for me to convince myself that he's not great. I don't believe it because he'll show the flashes of greatness. We've all seen it, but then he'll have a game where he scores 2 to 4 points. So what I did late last night and early this morning was I went back and I watched a ton of uncut games and unedited games of Bronny from his 9th grade year up until the current date, and even the EYBL games, and you can go see them for yourself. I was trying to think of a way how to word this for you guys so maybe you understand, but I think the best word for it is that his game is misunderstood. And maybe you knew that, but for me, I'll admit it, I've been misunderstanding his game for the past couple of weeks and probably the past couple of months. It was bad on my part, and I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I'm a man, I don't care, and I was wrong about this, but I was looking at his game the wrong way. I was evaluating his performances on the wrong things, and I wasn't looking at it from his game style. And I think some of you are the same way. We've been wanting to see Bronny get aggressive and waiting for him to go off for 30 points, but I came to the realization that it's not going to happen, and that's not how he plays. Maybe it's because LeBron is his dad and we somewhat want him to do what he did, but they're two different players. And for a high school version, I would say Bronny plays similar to CP3, which is Chris Paul. Of course, Chris Paul is a better scorer, but everything else, I see a lot of that in him. He actually played this morning, and we're going to touch on that in just a second, but let me wrap this up and explain a little more. Okay, hear me out. When you hear 3, 4, and 5-star recruit, you immediately think of a guy who's either a sharpshooter or a dunker, or they're going to make a lot of flashy plays. If you hear about a big-time player coming to your city, you're not going to expect a boring guy who plays the game the right way and efficient. You're looking for a guy that's going to come out there and get you excited and make a lot of flashy plays. Let's just be real. And well, that's what I've been wanting to see out of Bronny, and it's not going to happen. Is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so. I know what some of you may be thinking. Yo Matt, what are you talking about? What are you referring to? What I'm getting to is that Bronny may be one of the only players where the stat sheet, it does lie, and it doesn't really matter. His game is so far beyond the stat sheet, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like I said, I spent probably 6 to 8 hours just watching the film so I could understand it for myself. And let me explain what I'm talking about. We'll talk about the stats first. In today's game, Bronny had 10 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and I have seen this, but it's not confirmed, that he had 4 steals. When you look at those numbers for any other hooper, you say, yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not crazy either. One thing to put into account, though, is that he did do this at the EYBL, which is good competition, and I'd say scoring 10 points in that is probably the same as scoring 18 to 20 in normal high school. Some people would say, and it'd be hard to argue that you were wrong, that Bronny for the past couple of weeks, he's been playing like a role player. And before today and before this video, I would agree with that, but now looking back on it, I don't think he's a role player. I think he's a player that plays his role perfectly. And I know what you're saying. Matt, you just contradicted yourself. But no, I didn't. He knows his role, he knows his game style, and he knows how he plays. It doesn't matter if some random dude named Matt Be Great wants him to score 30. He's not going to change the way he plays for me or anyone else. And you got to respect that. I'm going to go over all these highlights real quick. Whether you like me or not, you can't lie. I give credit where credit is due. In this first clip, Bronny's sizing up his guy, and then he's just so fast and he can accelerate, and the way he runs and the way he floats in the air, it looks so smooth and so easy. Tell me if I'm wrong, but the way it looks out there for him, I feel like he's not trying and he could go out there and drop 30. I guess that's why I'm so mad about everything. And then of course we got that clean snatch block that led to an easy fast break layup, and all of that's not going to show up in the stat sheet. You'll have the block and the assist, but you won't see the play. And then you got Bronny coming off of a screen, stopping on a dime and hitting a clean pull-up jump shot. Or not just a jump shot, but a 3-point jump shot, and he also hit another 3-pointer. He also hit a fast break layup. I do got to speak on this. I don't know if I've even talked about it too much, but Bronny may have the perfect jump shot form, especially for a 16-year-old. His form, it's almost perfect. It's not going to get much better. Those were most of his highlights from the day, and when you see that, you start to get excited and you're like, okay, he played good. Why doesn't he do this every single game? One thing I paid attention to in the film today is that he may be, if not the best on-ball defender for his age. When he gets in his defensive stance, you're not getting around him. You're just not. And then you see a lot of cases where Bronny's not bringing the ball up the court and he's in the corner, but he's actually being a very good decoy. You know he can shoot, so you can't leave him wide open, and then if he gets the ball coming off of a screen, like we saw today, he can shoot, play make, or do anything. He's not going to rack up a ton of assists, but I would really refer to him as a great floor general. He's not going to wow you with anything, but he's not going to mess anything up, and I think he's one of the best teammates to play with because he's going to make sure everybody gets theirs and he's going to do the right things. And I've said this before, but out of every high school prospect, I don't care what class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, Bronny has the most NBA ready game right now. Look at how NBA players play and look at how Bronny plays. They play very similar. I'm starting to think that I was wrong by saying he's not being aggressive. I just think that's how he plays and that's his game style. And plus too, he's got a couple of years to figure it out and I think he's going to be just fine. All in all though, I do owe him an apology because I was misinformed and misunderstood about his game. His game is so much deeper than the stat line, and I can't emphasize that enough. That's why he's such an intriguing player, because it's hard to really evaluate him. It is, and he's interesting and entertaining to watch. Let me know what you think about his game down below. Do you agree with what I've said? Let me know what you think about this down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm curious. Drop your comments down below. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great about your peace.